So I've been getting a lot of synchronicity lately about twin flames for a while now, actually. And I want to talk about this because there's so much toxic shit that gets spread with this concept. And if you're not familiar with it, you might not totally understand everything that I'm saying or how it links to that. But that's okay. You don't really need to know that. You can look it up if you want to. And I'm sure you'll get a bunch of bullshit that you shouldn't subscribe to, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that we can't pull some stuff from it, right? So I don't subscribe to the idea that I'm half of anything, or that somebody else completes me, or that my soul is split into two different bodies. That is all there is a little bit of an argument that can be made in the fact that I believe we're all from source, right? So technically we are all source or God or whatever, in different bodies experiencing life from different perspectives. We're so in that way it's we're all part of the same thing, but yeah, I don't know. I also think that a lot of people use this as a reason to stay in toxic on and off again relationships, or to chase or wait for someone who treats them poorly, or vice versa. And so I just want to preface what I'm about to say with the fact that that is not what I'm talking about. That dynamic is toxic as fuck, and you're not twin flames, okay? What I do believe in is this concept of mirror-like relationships, and relationships that maybe mirror you. And all relationships are a mirror, all of life and experience is a mirror in some way. But I think there are certain relationships that do this more intensely, for lack of a better way of explaining it, than others. And what I do believe in is, rather than this toxic on and off again, separation, come back to each other bullshit, what I do believe in is giving people grace to do their healing work, in loving people and yourself enough to exit stage left when one or both of you have healing work to do that is not the other person's responsibility, nor do either of us deserve to be harmed in getting caught in the crosshairs of each other's processes. And I think that there is just something to be said about certain healing work kind of needs to be done on your own, so that you don't associate it with that person, right? I feel I am going through something like that, where I'm doing a lot of my own thing, and I need to do it on my own so that it is mine, and so that I know that it is mine, and I'm not crediting somebody else for it, or thinking that I need this other person to access that energy or that level up or whatever. This is mine, and I did it, and I have access to it with or without this person. And so yes, what I also believe in is honoring our own personal journeys and our own worth, and sometimes that means parting ways, temporarily or permanently. And so all this to say that the realization that I'm having right now is that I think that for mirror-like relationships, what I'm talking about, to work, both people need to love themselves. If they don't, then what do you think you will be mirroring back to each other, right? What do you think will be getting reflected back to you in this other person? I think so often these types of relationships don't work for that reason, because people don't love themselves, people don't care for themselves, nurture themselves, believe in themselves, understand their own worthiness. People don't do their shadow work. And so all that gets reflected back to each other is wounding and trauma and shadow that's gone unacknowledged and unintegrated. And that's not to say that you have to be perfect, but there needs to be a foundation of love and worthiness, of personal accountability and bravery, not lack, scarcity, self-hatred, masking, dishonesty, fear of self. To some degree, you need to become something that you enjoy looking at and having reflected back to you. You both do. So that you can mirror back to each other love, care, nurturing, things that feel good, or that at least create a foundation of doing the work with grace and from a place of self-love rather than self-loathing. Loving yourself doesn't mean that you're perfect or that your work is done, that you never feel sad or angry or whatever, that you don't make mistakes. For me, loving yourself is just simply the foundation through which you move through these things and life in general. It simply means that when these things come up, when the shadow becomes conscious, like it will for the rest of our lives, we can love ourselves through that process and therefore each other. And I think that that creates a reflection to each other that allows these types of relationships to work. And so I just want to say that, like, if you find yourself in one of these like mirror-like relationships, or if you're in separation in one of these mirror-like relationships, that I think that that is the most important work to be done. And it's really like a journey of self for yourself. Because whether that person stays or comes back or whatever the outcome is, it doesn't matter, because the work is ultimately yours and something that, like I said, nobody can take away from you and will benefit you moving forward in any relationship that you have, and including the relationship with yourself. I think all of our relationships really improve when we're coming at life from a place of having self-love and grace and gentleness with ourselves. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.